Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite defensive and delusional man, Gardiner. I think that's funny. I don't know. Today, we are going to do something cool. It's all about the terminal. If you're not familiar, the terminal's pretty rad. Just look at it. Look at it. It's pretty rad, isn't it? You might be saying, Pop OS? What are you doing on Pop OS? I'm running this on my Thelio right now. This is the Thelio, so I have my desk back there where I do all my video editing, and I record all my videos on my Thelio, just because I like it. Hashtag not sponsored, but they did give me this machine the last time I went out to Denver, so thanks to System 76, you guys are rad. Today we're going to talk about why would anyone use the terminal. I've seen so many people ask this question. When I talk about Linux to Windows users, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, Linux, isn't that operating system that still looks like DOS? I legitimately have heard that at least 10 times in my life, in my adult life anyway. And in fact, when I thought of Linux as a young adult, that's what I thought of, was the command line, the terminal. The truth of the matter is the GUI is good for a lot of things, but the terminal is better for a lot of other things. For example, do you want to run a program the exact same way across many batches of files? The terminal is your best option there. And the fact of the matter is, why is Microsoft investing so much money into PowerShell and Windows Subsystem for Linux if it wasn't a great way to interact with your computer? I'm not going to argue that a GUI doesn't provide like entry-level access to new and experienced users alike, but I do believe that the command line and applications in the CLI are so much more powerful, precise, and repeatable than a GUI application would be. So let's talk about the terminal. Why would anyone use it? What's it good for? And we'll go over a couple of the most basic commands so you can kind of get the idea of what's so cool about the terminal. And you know what? Why don't you hit that subscribe button? It really helps the show out. You can also hit that like button, share this video with your friends, do all the things that you would do with your socials and your medias. It really helps us out here. So let's actually compare. Let's open up the file manager here. Now let's say that we wanted to navigate to some directory on our file system. So let's go to our home directory. So we'd go home, Bryant, and then let's say we want to go to music. Okay, so now we found our way to where we wanted to be. If you're more savvy, you would be able to actually type in that address. So home, Bryant, music, and hit enter, and there you go. You're back in the same directory. In a terminal, let's flip over to our terminal here. You would actually just type in ls home, or in this case, because it's in our home directory, we could just say music. And there we go. You can see we have Alt-J, Arcade Fire, and then we have the MP3s. So the deep blue is a directory, and the light blue are files. So let's say that we wanted to actually move all of the files of a single type from here to a different place. So let's say we had a whole bunch of files in here. You'd actually have to sort by type, and then you'd have to copy just those files, and you have to either cut or drag and drop those files to a different destination. So let's go back to our terminal. We would actually be able to do that very easily. MV downloads, and then asterisk for wildcard, so anything that ends in .app image. And then we could move them to documents, why not? And there we go. Now if we list downloads, we can see that the app image files are no longer there. And then if we list our documents folder, there they are, the two app images. It's pretty awesome. It's very simple to do. So let's say that you're lazy like me and you don't want to have to type in music every time that you do a command like this, right? Well, what you can do is CD, which is change directory. And then we type in music. And there we go, enter. Now you can see that music has been appended to our bash prompt, which is this thing here. This is a bash prompt. You can see we can do CD, and then if we hit enter, we go back to our home directory, which is what that tilde represents right there. You can see if we type in CD downloads, we can CD into downloads, we can ls, we can CD into music again. We just moved to a sibling directory from downloads. If we do ls here, you can see we have all of our files. If I do ls space and then a dot, you can see we have the same output. The dot is a special character that represents the current directory that we're in. So we're in our home folder in our music directory, and there we have the dot representing the same thing. So running ls without any arguments will list the current directory you're in. Ls with a dot means the current directory that you're in. So these two commands are essentially the same. Now, if we do ls dot dot, it's listing the parent directory, the immediate parent of the directory that we're currently in. So if we type in cd, and then we do music, and then dot dot, and then slash music again, we're actually going to end up in the music directory. Now, this wouldn't be like practical or like useful in any practical sense, at least not any way I can think of off the top of my head, but this is more to show you like we are in our home folder, right? That's where we started. And then we change directory to music, and then the path goes back up to the home folder and then back to music. I hope that makes sense. Basically, we're in our music folder. The dot dot is the parent of the directory that you're currently in. So if we were to write out like the actual, like the absolute path, rather than going from the relative path of our home directory, we would do something like cd slash home slash gbryant, because that's my username. And then we would do music, right? And so now that would take us to our music folder, which we're already in. But if you push up on the keyboard, you'll bring up all your commands, right? So if you push up on the keyboard, if we do dot dot, that basically negates this directory that we typed in, right? So we would go home, gbryant music, and then we'd go back to gbryant, which is what the two dots mean, and then slash, and we could do documents, whatever, right? Now we're in the documents folder of our directory because this dot dot basically negated whatever that path was before it. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to make this confusing. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. And again, I can't think of a reason that you would do that off the top of my head, but I think that that is a clear indication of exactly what's going on with path names. Now, you might have noticed that there's actually some kind of autocomplete going on when I'm typing some of these commands, and that's because I'm using the tab to complete functionality of the terminal. Let's say that I kind of know where I want to go in my file system. So let's cd and then do. I know the file or the directory starts with do. If I double tap on tab, you'll see that it actually autocompletes or gives a list of possible autocomplete options. So there are two directories in my current directory that start with do, documents and downloads. So if I wanted to choose one of these, you can see that cd space do is already populated in the command. I've already typed that in. So if I wanted to pick documents, I could just press C to fill out this option and then hit tab, and it's already filled out for us. So we can just cd into documents. We could do ls, and there we go. We have whatever we had in documents before. Well, how is that useful, right? Like the tab to complete. Well, imagine that you have a big long list of directories in your file system, and you don't quite remember. You remember it starts with do, but you don't know where you're trying to go. You have to look through the list here, find all the files with do, and then it's doc. Okay, let's click on doc. Oh my gosh, we have more files here. In the terminal, if I were to go like this into the same directory I was just in. So if we go to cd and then user share, see we have a big long list. But if I just did ls do, you can see we have doc and doc-base. It's filtered. It's simple. It's clean. All right, so moving files, renaming files, listing files, that's all well and good. What else can you do with the terminal? Well, that's a great question. Let's create an empty file. We can do touch new file.txt, and you can see if we list, we have new file.txt. Or we could do something like nano new file2.txt. So nano is one of the many command line text editors that's available. Nano is just simple. It's easy to use, and that's one of the reasons I use it. Let's just say here, we're gonna add some text to this file. And then you can do, you would do Control X, and then you would hit yes. And by yes, I mean Y. And then you would hit enter for new file 2.txt, or you could change this to whatever you want it to be down here. And then if we ls, you can see we have new file 2 and new file there. We could do nano new file 2 again, and you can see, hey, there's the stuff. All right, that's cool, but I don't want those files anymore. How do you get rid of them? It's pretty simple. rm new file.txt, and you can even do new file 2.txt, and there you go. Now those files don't exist anymore. So by now you've probably noticed that there's a pattern here, right? You have the command name followed by a space, and then a list of arguments that are also separated by spaces generally. How would anyone actually start to learn how to use these programs with all these arguments and all this stuff, right? Well, that brings us to our last command for today. Man. Man is awesome. Man is short for manual. If you've ever heard an elitist neckbeard say read the effing manual or RTFM, they're talking about this. So you can type man and then any command that you want to learn more about. So let's say nano for a minute. Nano, here's Nano's another text editor, which is actually I did not know that. It's yet another recursive acronym, except it's not. So you can see here we have information about Nano. So you can see here we have a list of flags that Nano understands, as well as descriptions of what each of these flags do. If we keep scrolling, we can see there's quite a few flags that Nano understands. It's basically the entire alphabet, upper and lowercase. That's awesome. And we can hit Q to quit the manual. So 9 times out of 10, it's going to be actually pretty simple. So if we do like man ls, you're going to have a pretty easy time reading a manual and understanding what capabilities the command actually has. And it's going to be especially easy if you really understand the basics of the terminal. If you don't, I want to just like break this down for you rather simply. You have your name, right? Sometimes you'll have like more information about the program itself, who created it and stuff like that. Under synopsis, you'll generally have usage, right? So like a demonstration of how usage works. So you see you have ls and then option, and there's an ellipses. The ellipses means you can have 0 or more flags set. And then you have file and an ellipses, which also means 0 or more arguments set. I think they call them operands if you want to get technical. Now you can see here, if we scroll down, there are many, many, many options. So you can do like H, right? So human readable with L and S print sizes like 1K, 234 megabytes, 2 gigabytes, etc. So that's with -L and -S. -L means what? Let's scroll down. Use a long listing format. And what is -S? Print the allocated size of each file in blocks. Okay, so let's try that. ls-lsh. And there we go. You can see we have 26 megabytes, 1.2 gigabytes, 1.4, 964 megabytes. So we have a list of all the sizes of our files here. That's really awesome. But let's go back into ls, or the manual for ls. You can see here that we have 1 or more files that we can supply. So what happens if we do ls, and then we just do documents, and then a dot for the current directory? You can see here that we have the dot directory, which is, you know, the same as this one. And you can see here we have documents and the OpenRA red alert app image and the Tiberian Dawn app image. So we learned how to use ls. We learned something new from reading the manual. And you know what? That's pretty dang useful. While I will never just simply dismiss you by saying read the effing manual, now you actually know how. And I hope that this video has inspired you to learn something new about Linux. You know, if you have questions about how the terminal works, if you have questions about certain like basic commands, leave them in the comments. If you have ideas of other things I could make a video on, leave them in the comments as well. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this. Anyway, that's going to do it for now, my friends. I want to say thank you to the 103 amazing people over on Patreon who make what I do here possible. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this. If you believe in the work that I do here, if you'd like to see more content like this, you can support the show over on Patreon. You can become a channel member here on YouTube as well. But I think that's going to do it for now. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed day.